Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Football United TV and the Football Politics Show. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm joined once again by Mr. B and Amondi.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Mr. B.
How you doing, man?
Cool. Everyone all right? Having a good Tuesday so far?
Yeah,
it's lovely weather in the UK, man. What is it, like 20 degrees today? Beautiful out here. How's your day going? How's your day going, Matt?
Same, mate. You know what I mean? Beautiful day. Sunshine in England, yeah?
A little bit. What temperature have you got, Matt?
Exactly.
31 today, guys.
Damn it! I think you just trumped us there.
It's not me, it's Spain, isn't it? I just follow the sun, like worshipper, guys. So today we're pretty much going to talk about the Super League and the World Cup format and what Arsene Wenger has proposed to FIFA and UEFA and CONCACAF and everybody else. On Monday, we'll start with you first, mate, because we have been talking about this recently. What do you make of the Super League now, that it could happen with the fact that Juventus, Real Madrid and Barcelona seem to be struggling to get their viewers recently, probably to do with a few great players leaving. But what do you make of it? Do you think it's going to happen? Because I know talk thinks it is, but
well, not just talk, MU. I think most people think it's going to happen based on what you just said there about some of these major clubs have lost a lot of income lately. Some of them in a real bad financial situation at the moment. I mean, we look at Barcelona. I was looking at graphics today. Their side when they had Omri, Eto'o, Messi, the famous three midfielders, and they compared it to today. I mean, it's like day and night. It's really bad. And Juve as well, they've had to get rid of Ronaldo, unfortunately for them. Unfortunately for Man United, we've snapped him up. You know, so some leagues and some clubs are doing better than others. And I think the ones that who were proposed to be into the Super League initially, who aren't doing too well now, which is obvious, you know, the teams you mentioned, for example, they will be the ones trumping for this Super League to go ahead. And I just want to say, before we get on to it as well, about Arsene Wenger, I think, well, people say he's a great manager. He's not that old. I mean, Bobby Robson was managing too. He's quite old. I mean, Roy Hodgson just retired recently. What's he up to? I mean, what's his income like? Is he retired? Is he settled down? No, he's out in the Middle East, working for the Middle Eastern guys, working for FIFA and trying to propose something and being endorsed like that. So he's obviously had a few handshakes here and there. And so I respect the man for his football management and everything else. And I respect him for his being a bit selfish with his money, because obviously he's getting bags of money to promote what he's promoting here. And it's clearly he's working for FIFA. FIFA have a World Cup every 4 years. And every fourth year when they have their World Cup, they get so much money from that. I mean, it's worldwide. It's massive. But in the meantime, they're competing with UEFA, who have got the Champions League every year. And every year they're raking it in, the income. And they're smiling. And they're dining out. They're probably at the top red shots in Seville right now, you know, dining out like that. Whereas FIFA delegates are probably by the port or something, begging a fisherman for a fish, you know, that sort of thing. Arsene Wenger, he's a smart man. He's obviously knows what he's doing. He's because he's got a big profile and he's coming out and saying it's the right thing to do. And what surprises me, but he's saying we need to bring it every 2 years. But we know the implications of that, don't we? It's going to cause a load of issues, and the players are going to have complete burnout. But he's saying that you can fit it in by having a 25-day break for most players and most leagues every season, and that's the one positive that I've felt from his proposal. Otherwise, it's all a load of BS, to be honest. Excuse me. Seems like a load of BS. What about all the other nations? What about the calendar? I mean, we play throughout the winter. In Brazil, they play, you know, everyone's got different calendar and rota. So how are you going to fit it in where all these clubs will be fit and ready without disturbing their domestic leagues? It's a bad proposal, and shame on you, Arsene Wenger, but your kids and your grandkids will be wealthy for a long time because of this. Sell out.
Brilliantly put, I think there. Would you agree with Mundi, Mr. B, on that? You think it's a bad proposal from him, and also with the Super League as well? Do you think that's a bad idea? Because it's still like it looks like it's on the table, doesn't it?
Well, the Super League, I actually do think the issue they had right at the beginning was the format. If they had maybe not made it closed, I think they probably would have had a lot more support from maybe the leagues. Obviously, FIFA didn't want it to happen. The Premier League didn't want it to happen. So it was never going to happen. There was always going to be that backlash. The way that certain clubs reacted, I think was just justified. Maybe not all of it, but the actual protesting, letting the club owners know that it was a disgust. Because, I mean, let's be honest, that was the biggest load of shite that I've ever heard in my life. How can you know, in 2 weeks, all of a sudden, you know, have a Super League setting up? All of these people who worked for FIFA, who were sitting down in the offices with them, already knew what they were concocting on the phone to the other side. And then 2 weeks later, boom, they've got this thing out. So I just think a lot of it was to do with the organization. If they had not made it closed, I think that would have been the biggest issue. That really would have been the biggest issue. Mr. Wenger, well, this two-year World Cup, as Amonde said, his pockets. I said, you know, I'm just gonna say it like that. His pockets. Yeah? To me, the fact that if you listen to it, it sounds like the European part of it don't want nothing to do with the 2 World Cups, but CONCACAF, the Asia ones. Obviously, he's done his thing in Japan. He knows all of the people he knows. He needs to know those sides. Those are the ones who are pushing. My thing is, do they have enough votes? One, yes, to be able to try and push it through. All of a sudden, they're having a Zoom meeting with all of these people. It's going to be the Europeans on one side and the Brazilians, whatever that is, that CONMEBOL. Yeah, you CONMEBOL, that side of it. Then you're going to have everybody else on this side, and it's just going to be a matter of votes, because if it goes to 2 years, the European clubs are going to want to play in it. But then me personally, I think it detracts from the fact that it's a twice in a lifetime tournament, 3 times if you're really, really lucky. The fact that it's going to be every 2 years, if Brazil win it this year, guaranteed in 2 years, they're going to win it again. And to me, it doesn't, I just think it takes away the whole excitement. Every 4 years, as a player, that's what you build up to. You've got your World Cup, you know, that sort of excitement. Forget about burnout. I mean, Klopp talks about burnout all the time, you know, but that, I think 25 days isn't going to be enough, because they're going to have the tournament, and then what are they going to do? Have 25 days off where the club have already paid them the money to start the season? I mean, I can't see how every 2 years is going to work. And then what happens with the African Cup of Nations? What happens with the Euros? You know, the Euros that's a UEFA competition. World Cup is a FIFA competition, right? I mean, oh, my guy, you just snuck in.
I know, sorry.
He's snuck in.
Sorry, it just overrun a little bit on Maisie's channel, but yeah, I escaped as quickly as I possibly could. So where are you up to then in the conversation, my team?
We're just saying goodbye. The show's finished.
Oh, right, okay. Well, thanks for goodbye from me. Goodbye from me, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, sorry. We were just I was basically just wrapping up saying that I don't think it's a good idea with the World Cup every 2 years. Players will get burnt out.
Yeah.
The part we were on really was just FIFA and UEFA bucking heads about a tournament, because surely if the World Cup goes to every 2 years, the UEFA Cup is the Euros then going to go every 2 years? You know, there's no space for anything, and I know you've got a lot to say, Talk. So come and enlighten me.
Yeah, well, on the we're talking about the World Cup and the Euros, aren't we?
Yeah, the Super
Yeah,
League.
I mean,
And the Super League, yeah.
on the Super League. Well, right, okay, Super League's a different kettle of fish in it. But in terms of the World Cup and the Euros, I mean, how's that going to work? It's not going to work, surely. It can't work. You know, you can't. You're going to have like a World Cup, then the Euros, World Cup, Euros, World Cup, Euros. You'd have to have You can't. Where do you fit the Euros in? If it's every 2 years, you can't. It's impossible. You can't have a World Cup, then the Euros, World Cup, Euros. That's it. It'd have to be like every year, wouldn't it? To be a competition. So now it's not going to work. It's just crazy. And I think, you know what? This is where then maybe you've got to look at the value in the idea around the ESL for UEFA. Forget FIFA. FIFA will have to, FIFA do their own thing. They've got loads of money stashed away as it is in Switzerland. You know what I mean? They've got bare cash stashed away. They've burrowed that away, man. I'm telling you, the sewers of Switzerland are just swimming in money. Right? But in terms of the E.S.L, this is where I think the value for the UEFA is, because of if they're going to do that with the World Cup, that then puts them in a pickle. So they may well look at this E.S.L idea and try and negotiate with the other remaining clubs that are still pushing for this, i.e. Juventus and Real, and then say, wait a minute, okay, well, how can we work this in a sensible fashion where, okay, firstly, we have to make the most of the income that's being dangled in front of us, because at the moment there's a huge golden carrot right in front of all these teams and clubs, right, which is money from these broadcasters. And so maybe there is an opportunity there for them. If UEFA, I think what could add to this push for not the actual ESL, but some kind of new format altogether in the European game, is if FIFA push for and may actually go ahead with this biennial World Cup. I think that's what may push UEFA over the edge, because they're going to be stuffed if they do that, surely.
Well, yeah, but I guess players. I think we've talked about this as well recently. I know a lot of people about the problem with players going out to South America recently, and they sort of just left from the club that they were going to go, and they said, "Look, I'm not going to back down from playing for my international team." So if they do have it every 2 years, no player's going to say no. As much as they might not like it, they're still going to do it. So I think you might be right with UEFA looking at it and go, well, we need to sort of do something similar. And they are changing the Champions League, aren't they? Format. It'll be like 2 groups of 10, I think, in the next few years.
Yeah.
More games again.
I think a bigger group stage, maybe. I think they're talking about like a round robin, maybe thing. And also, just going back to the World Cup proposal, I think you've got to think about the qualifying as well. They're suggesting like in September, after a couple of league games, we go to the internationals again. It's going to be maybe October, and there'll be a big chunk of the month, maybe a whole month, where they get like 4 or 5 games, 6 games, maybe qualifying games within that little small window. But then, what if you're injured? What if your star player's injured for 6-7 weeks or out for 3 months? So it's congestion all the qualifying games into one spell. That means like someone like England, say Harry Kane, who scores their goals. I'm not saying he's the best, but he could be out. For example, he could be out for a long period of time and miss all these qualifying games in that window of time. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's so many sort of question marks about this proposal that make it really like difficult to say, well, how's this going to work? And if it's not broken, why try to fix it? That kind of thing. The issue I had, what Mr. B said earlier as well, about all the other smaller nations. This all comes from corruption. FIFA are known for being corrupt. I mean, the distribution of the wealth is really poor. So they give it to the FIFA representative for Zimbabwe or someone, you know, and he come along and say, yeah, I'll take this money. We're going to do A, B, and C, and it just doesn't happen. Not to boast up or nothing, but I worked in New Zealand. I played football out there, professional football in New Zealand in 2003. I was part of the coaching. I set up, I hold my own coaching academy, all this kind of thing. My friend now is like the women's football team coach, the guy we went out with, English guy, you know. So we know a lot about FIFA. We've done a lot of work with FIFA over there, and Australian leagues and that kind of thing. So we knew about the corruption was going on. There was a poor distribution because you got nations like Papua New Guinea and all the small islands, Fiji and all that kind of thing. They weren't getting the if you saw the facilities out there, what was given, the money was given to them, and the facilities out there, it's like, my gosh, where someone's getting rich, and then you see the guy, the director guy, he's got a huge house up on the hills, you know, and there's no facilities, that kind of thing. But so major nations, it's just the distribution of wealth support. So when you say to FIFA now, when you go to Papua New Guinea or someone, they're easy to pay off. Because they say, all right, yeah, I'll take this because they're owned. These are guys who they put in place there. They all work for FIFA. They're all like FIFA guys to say, right, we elect you, well done, you know, and you pocket all the money. So that was happening in New Zealand. There was a big issue when I was out there in 2003 about New Zealand football. This is why you saw Australia go into the qualifying, because they're having more difficulty. They had to qualify with the third team in South America. Eventually, that happened soon afterwards. And New Zealand, they got a lot of quality out there. The girls are really good as well, but they ended up having to go to play the Confederations Cup, is it? Yeah, so that's their highlights. They're hardly getting. They're so set so badly that they won't get into World Cup based on their talent. They're not going to got enough finances or anything, infrastructure to grow, and then they're being left playing these sort of Solomon Islands. They're beating them 10-0 and all these other islands. But they might be a big fish there. But then when they come to play, when you're playing all these weak teams, all of a sudden these islanders who have hardly got any football boots, and then suddenly you go like Asian champs or something, Iran or Japan, they're getting whooped. And then they play occasionally a Confederation Cup against Brazil and all these big nations, and they can't compete. So the distribution of wealth. So if you ask these nations, do you want a World Cup every 2 years? Money, more generated money, more thing. They're going to say yes. So they're going to say more of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's really corrupt. It all starts from corruption. FIFA have got a lot to blame, but now because they're trying to compete, they want more money because UEFA do the Champions League and the Super League and all this kind of thing. That's why they got Wenger in to try and balance it out a little bit.
I was going to say as well, because you were talking about teams from like the Middle East, like not like Iran, etc. And Iraq actually, I think, won the Asian Cup after the invasion and all this with the war and that. And FIFA didn't like it. FIFA didn't like it at all, and that just shows you the power of that badly run organization, the fact that they don't want these smaller countries that have been going through hell, and they can still provide a football team to win a major trophy, and they don't like it. Why would they?
Do you know what? You know what it is, Matt? You know what it is? It's a scratch in the record. That's a scratch in the record. You want a nice, clean, don't want a CD, don't want no scratches and crackles and pops. And that's what all these things are. That's how they view it, because it's the image of the brand of FIFA, And when we're talking about the actual E.S.L. with UEFA, it's the actual name of what they've done with the Champions League is nowhere near going to get any kind of the same kind of return as what an E.S.L. because it's there right there in the name. That's what it says on the tin. It's a Super League. That means all the best, biggest teams. So for me, there's still a room here for for the teams themselves and UEFA to actually, and I think they will, because listen, you're not going to come along with an idea like that. It's like when, whoever came up with the idea of going, actually, why are we messing about here with sending these little boats across the Thames? We need to build a bridge, right? What? Oh, nah, don't be daft. Yeah, and then what? And they forget the idea. No, these kind of ideas.
I love your analogy. I love your analogy.
Yeah, but they don't go away. What I'm saying is this is too big an idea with too bigger proceeds to be gained for it to go away. It's just got off the boil, but it's still there, simmering in the background. And like I said to you weeks and weeks and weeks ago, for me, this is going to come back in a different guise. And already the guy from Juventus, what's his name? Is it Agnelli? Something Agnelli. He has already started to look at how they can actually change how they would do this. That it may not actually have to be a league where there's no relegation and no promotion.
See,
it may be, that might be that what they look at and go, wait a minute, that's not going to work, because maybe there needs to be some kind of there will be some kind of relegation and promotion, but from a kind of points accrued, and you put points in the bank, so to speak. But then if you have to rely on those points and then you run out of points, that's it. You're out of the league, and somebody else comes along and gets a shot.
Can I say as well, to throw it in the mix, and we'll go to Mr. B as well about it, it's just, how some leagues in Europe are going to merge together eventually as well. So it looks like the Dutch league and the Belgium league are going to merge together at some point. Yeah, wow. They've already agreed it. There's a few other countries as well, like I think maybe Serbia and a few other countries that are trying to merge together, so they have the same league in 3 different countries or whatever. So it's going to make it difficult if you do this Super League and then suddenly all these leagues merge together. Then clubs are going to find it even harder to get qualified. And how do you deal with this then? Like, if that happens,
it must be frustrating. It must be frustrating as a country like Croatia, Serbia, and others that create, that give a lot of really great players to the other European teams, for them to be looking at their own league and thinking, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's like us, if we was giving away all our English talent to, teams in Europe, and we didn't have the Premier League, the first division, you're going to be scratching your head going, wait a minute, something's not right here. So, the strength in numbers for me, that's all it is. It's strength in numbers. Okay, we can't quite do it on our own because we're not big enough. But if we join up with you, if we are bordered, i.e. we've got a border with each other, which is manageable by, a rotation.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Let's do it. You make it then a bigger league. Then you're a bigger fish. Simple as that, isn't it?
I mean, what? Sorry, one sec. Today there was something on. I think it was on the radio about the Premier League getting all of the chairman of all of the clubs in to sign, or it was sort of like to sign a document, sort of preventing the Super League again. I heard a little bit of it on Talk Sport when I should have checked it up before I came on the show, but I just didn't have the time. It's like they're trying to put plans in place to prevent the Super League happening again, and they want all of the clubs to obviously sign into this, whatever the manifesto is going to be. But I just think that no matter what they sign, it's always going to be about the money. It's always going to be about the money. So you look at when Juve, remember when Haaland did his club tour and his price was 150 million? He did Man City, he did Juve, he did Real Madrid, Barcelona. I don't know if he did a PSG, but that was money that all of a sudden would have appeared. So I'm thinking that there was a lot of other people who knew certain things, because they weren't even talking. These teams are broke. Barcelona are broke. Real Madrid are broke. Juve are broke. Yet they would have paid the £150 million for Haaland. So they were expecting the Super League to have kicked off. Raiola then markets his superstar. He starts on 500 grand a week because everybody can afford to pay. Everybody could afford 150 million because that was money that was, we didn't know where it was coming in from. I mean, we were saying we're not spending 150 million pound on a player, but if you're given 500 million, spending 100 million, and that's a bid. That's a bidding war straight away. So it's win-win for Raiola, Haaland and his agent. So there had to have been more than just the people who have been blamed for it, So it's as Amonde said, it is really, there's a lot of the corruption going on, but they say they want to, you look at it, we want to make it, whiter than white, and we want to, but let's be honest, all of them are making change, and it's not the pay PAYE that they're earning. It's we're not going to get done for slander because it's out there in the it's out there in the it's out there in the web, it's out there everywhere, everybody knows. So for them to I just feel that there's going to be some way where it's going to be acceptable for the league. Eventually, they'll make it so that it's so inviting to all of the Tottenham. I mean, look, bloody Tottenham are in there, for God's fucking sake. You know, you've got to be serious. You know, Levy's not look about winning; it's about the money. Sorry, Monday, it's just about the money. Go on.
No, I totally agree. I think like this is an issue about corporations and things like that, and the wealth distribution. So, what my issue is, what Matt said earlier, that really sort of made me wow, eureka moment when he said about the Belgium league and the Dutch league linking up. Well done to them, because they realise what they're up against. These corporations, include the corporation is LTD, Man United LTD, Real Madrid LTD. These are businesses, profit-making organisations. They don't care about these other sides. What gives me great pleasure is seeing countries like Red Star Belgrade. They're formed about all Serbian and Croatian players Yugoslav players at one point. Get into the Champions League final, winning Champions League final. Before that, we had Benfica winning Champions League final. The Lisbon Lions, for example, from Celtic, everyone was born within a radius of like 5 miles from the stadium. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're not going to see that ever again. Look at Ajax. I mean, Ajax has got to be pound for pound the best club in Europe based on the players they produce and everything else. So you imagine how they would be if they were. Well, you only have to look back to the early 70s. They've done 3 in a row. Do you understand what I'm saying? With the Champions League. So we're not seeing that anymore. We're seeing these big clubs, people like Chelsea, who would never, prior to this, get Champions League and Chelsea just don't go together. But since all the money's been coming into the club, you can build these big corporations like that. It's unfair. So if Anderlecht were great, look how many Belgian sides were winning before 1990 in Europe. Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Cup, all these things. They were dangerous sides, you know. So rather than picking away at these talent pooled nations like Portugal, Holland, Belgium, let them grow, and these nations need to get their heads together and realize what's going on and put a stop to that. So that's a great idea by Belgium and Holland. Get some super clubs together within your own league, improve the standard, and you soon be handing out some arse whoopings to all these other clubs. And I'd love to see that. I would love to see that, even against my own club, Man United.
No, you wouldn't.
I would love to see a side that produces like Bilbao, for example. You're in Spain right now, who only produces players from the Basque region, that kind of thing, to come in and do well. I would support that all the way. Even our own Man United from '58, they were all sort of local players and that kind of thing. So that needs to stop. That's a great idea by Belgium and Holland.
It's a really good point there, Andy. I'm going to go to you talk as well. Just wanted to say quickly about Bilbao. It is a magnificent thing that they do. I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree, but they're bringing up players from that area, you know, like people giving them a chance to be in the academy, and I think it's good. They want to be their own country anyway. But yeah, please talk.
I just want to go back to what Mr. B was talking about with this thing that he had on Talk Sport about. Did you say the Premier League are trying to put something into place where you can't blah blah? Well, listen, let me tell you something now. That's going to fail, and I'll tell you why. Because you cannot. So you're telling me that they're going to then say to all these clubs, right? You've got to just sign this piece of paper that eliminates your chance of making more money by someone coming with a better offer. They're going to say, get on your bike, mate. Do one. No. Just, no, not interested. Because
I'll let you carry on. If they don't vote, then do you think that that's where the whole pack of cards is then going to come down again? Now you can carry on.
Yeah, well, look, we're talking about a pack of cards and the E.S.L. and blah, blah, but that's down to UEFA. This is UEFA's problem. And because, like I said, they've got and even now it's been magnified by the talk of a biennial World Cup. You know, UEFA are like, oh, shit, the Euros are at risk here. Shit, something has got to give here. So why would the clubs, like if I was the owner of Manchester United right now, you're looking at all this and you're a businessman, you know how it works. You're going to go, wait a minute, am I going to go and listen to this Premier League now? We were just only concerned about their income and keeping my team in their pot. No, I don't care about the Premier League. I care about my club. I care about the progression of this club. I care about the success of this club going forward, the value of this club. That's what it's all about. And until there is a agreement between all European teams that, right, it's getting silly now. Because I'll ask you this question. Where right at this moment, where are Manchester City and where are Chelsea without their respective owners right now? Nowhere. Mid-table, maybe not even in this league. That's
Championship,
right?
So
so this cannot continue. Whereas you have clubs where it becomes ridiculously expensive to even compete. Never mind, you don't guarantee anything. This is why Mike Ashley is trying to get rid of Newcastle, because he's understood as a businessman the cost to potential earning ratio is ridiculous. You're even going to stand to make a loss. Roman Abramovich, how much has he spent in the last however many seasons? Out of his own money, it's a ridiculous amount of money, or even out of the club's money, whatever the false money, whatever it is that you say. When people say this money, where's it appearing from? Right? Blah blah. So you add that up, what it's cost. How much have they actually earned from winning? Nowhere near. So it's unsustainable. If you're talking about spending what you earned, it's like me saying, "Oh, I've earned $3,000 this month, right? Book that holiday. It's going to cost. I know it's going to cost $10,000, but book the holiday. I'm going to get a new car. I'm going to get blah 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 blah. Next month, you know what? I'm only earning £1,500. You're like, sod it. I'm still going to book another holiday. But it's unsustainable. It can't work unless you've got owners who can just continually go, "There's 300 million. Don't mean nothing. See you in a bit."
And I also think, talk as well, is the owners, they like Abramovich, who's like putting in all of his chips on his team. He's investing into the future. If they have won like a certain amount of Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, etc., their stocks are going to go higher. I mean, you look at Man United as well now, how much they are valued at.
Hold on.
Last year.
Hold on. You say about what's the future of the game though? If you keep doing that, this is what I'm getting at.
That's what we're here to talk about, isn't it?
This is why the ESL, in my opinion, in its current guise or in augmented in some fashion, will happen. Because as long as they keep doing that and the other teams around them can't afford to do that, it's like you might as well then go, okay, well, Man City and Chelsea, you might as well go off and have a little league between yourselves because no one can compete with you. Simple as that. There's no point. We don't want. It's not fair in this modern day now where lots and lots of people are wanting to watch football. It can't work where just two teams can afford to just do whatever they like in terms of buying whoever. If it don't work, so what? It don't matter. We can just go and buy again. No, it can't. And the future of that is, where does that go? Two teams pushing and inflating the costs between themselves. All right, I'll say three teams actually: PSG, Man City, Chelsea. If they keep inflating the cost of players and going, Haaland, when it comes to Haaland, he's going to sign the new contracts at Dortmund, and then they're going to say, right, yeah, blah blah. We're going to. You can talk to this club, you can talk to that club. Right, it's going to be a bidding war. We know that. PSG, right? We'll buy him 100 million. Manchester City go, no, we want him 150. Right? Chelsea, no. Roman Abramovich, he wants that player, and Roman can't say it. That Roman gets what he wants. He gets what he wants. So we'll give you 200 million. Right, okay, PSG, we can spend what we like, we can afford it. Right, we'll go 250, Man City 300. Bam, 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 goes round in a circle. Ridiculous wages. Where does that then leave the next big star who's ready to come and burst onto the scene with agents hungry to make a massive buck? The chain goes right all the way down. You can't have a ladder with the gaps in it. It doesn't work. This goes all the way down. So this, for me, is the danger of what is happening right now. That's why this ESL is going to happen, in my opinion, in some other guys.
When do you think, Amonde or Mr. B, any one of you, when do you think this might happen, if it does, this Super League? When do you think they're looking at trying to squeeze in? Is it as soon as next year, like they tried to do this time, or are they going to you think they're going to wait a little bit longer and maybe 4 or 5 years time?
Personally, I think within the next 10 years, we'll be seeing further development. I mean, they've made an attempt recently to make this happen. It was hit a stumbling block with some of the reaction. As Mr. B was saying, some Premiership clubs, because you have to remember the Premiership is separate as well. The Premiership could be, we're talking about the Prem like it's been here since '92, whatever, but they received a lot of bad press when they went away from the old First Division and that kind of thing, you know. And then what does that bring? That breeds owners coming in. Most of the clubs now, top clubs have got foreign owners. You see what I'm saying? So where it is, and you talk about Newcastle, for example, they can't run themselves, they can't maintain. Chelsea at one point with Ken Bates, they couldn't manage the club, so they had to sell it for £1 and things. So it's not self-sustainable. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I put a lot of value into clubs that like Bucharest, for example. They won with Hadji and all these guys. They won the Champions League in late 80s, 87, late 80s, something like that. And that's with a home-based players. You understand what I'm saying? So they might have back in the day used to have all these army sides or military sides who were running the league and everything else, but they were dominating. But in Europe, they were fantastic. Do you see what I'm saying? So I reckon within the next 10 years, the way things plan out, they're going to suffocate these smaller clubs, and the bigger clubs will say, well, look, we offered you this, and it's always going to come back to the money. So there's going to be some conniving sort of snide kind of business going on where people are going to have to accept it at some point. And like I say, the one thing that I've got an issue with is the TV, the broadcasting, because it's all about their money. It's all about advertising. It's all about showing it. You know, some TV. We don't. You know, we can sit here and just subscribe to Sky or whatever. For example, when Sky first come out, we're going to show all the Premiership. Suddenly, it's split. BT come along. Oh, I have to get BT now to watch Champions League. It's not on ITV anymore, not terrestrial TV. This is how we say the broadcasting thing. They're playing their game as well, and they've got the cash, they've got the money. And but the thing is, remember this: they get that from viewers like us. We're the ones who watch TV. So we do. When I used to think we don't have a say in this 10-year window that might happen. We actually do have a say because it's the broadcasters that we subscribe our money to, and then we cuss people who say, "Why are you streaming it? That's illegal. That's illegal." But do you see how? Contradictory that is, because we're here talking about, oh, that's wrong what they're doing and everything else. But damn right I will stream then, because I don't give my money to Sky, because Sky don't really give a damn. Sky are the ones who say we just pay the highest, whoever's going to be the highest. Oh, you want to do European Super League? Means nothing to us. We just pay whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like Talk was saying, it's the vicious circle, and people, what it is, don't be fooled. It's like the dollar. The dollar is made, it's just a dollar note. It's just made on a profit. So already you're making a profit. So that whole system, capitalist system, is meant to fail. The same with this system that we're incorporating now with the Super League and FIFA and the corruption and everything else. It's always going to fail because money is being made, is not being self-sufficient anymore. Agreed.
Mr. B, would you like to finish off? We are going to finish off in a jiffy.
On Monday is it. I listened to then on Monday saying 10 years. Talk, you're saying what, as soon as?
I'm saying within the next 5 years, maybe even less. Only because I'll tell you my reasoning. Only because if this, who's got more weight here, FIFA or UEFA?
UEFA.
To push.
UEFA.
To push.
Hence why Arsene Wenger's coming in.
No.
They realise they're under pressure now.
No, FIFA, you mean, because Arsene Wenger's behind FIFA for the World Cup. That's what I mean.
That's what I'm saying. UEFA got more weight. That's why Arsene Wenger's working for FIFA, because they realise, sugar, 4 years, we don't make enough money. UEFA's going to bring the Super League as well. Let's get Arsene Wenger on board to endorse this thing, you know?
Yeah. So if he makes that weight from him, it actually convinces whoever the people who are going to give this the nod to try it, and they get the backing. Don't forget, they need the backing from advertisers. They need backing from advertisers on this one and sponsors.
Who does for the World Cup business?
FIFA, yeah.
But they've got that already. They've already.
Yeah.
It's just a vote thing, isn't it? So mostly smaller nations will vote yes.
So if this happens, for me, if this gets the nod in the next 18 months or whatever long it's going to take, I guarantee even maybe in a couple of seasons, they're going to see the knock-on effect in terms of UEFA, and then whoosh, bang, wallop, we're going to get a change. And this time, when it does come out that we're going to be doing this, that, and the other, it doesn't matter what the fans say or whatever anybody else says, it's going to happen.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I say something? You know, they've given the FIFA countries individual votes now, haven't they? Yeah. Remember, it used to be sort of CONMEBOL probably had 2 sets of the votes or whatever had. So UEFA always had more of the votes. they changed that system a little while ago. I'm wondering if it was something that FIFA were already looking into doing.
Of course.
You understand? Because guess what? They put it in, it made everybody happy, it made the European teams happy because they're thinking, okay, we've got a vote, but long term they're thinking, hold on a minute. Europe have got 30 teams. With Africa, with Asia, and with whoever else, we've maybe got 140 votes. If this goes to a vote, the World Cup will be every 2 years.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that.
Just to add to that, I think, well, the clubs, where the clubs come in, the clubs pay the players. So it's going to be like, as we saw recently, this is the start of it. As we saw recently, it was the club's responsibility to say, look, drawing back players, don't go to Brazil or don't go to the South America for this international window. We pay your wage. We don't want you coming back being quarantined, for example, for 2 weeks. You're missing games. We pay your wage, you know? So that's where the clubs will jump in eventually and say, we're not having you going out to this World Cup tournament. We're not having you go. Look at the Olympics at the moment. The Olympics starts like just as the season starts, like late August, early September. Every 4 years, the Olympics is happening like that. So that's another thing. So, and players like Brazilians or South Americans, they usually play in this tournament. So they're missing, again, the clubs are missing out on their top players in that window. And some, as someone said earlier, the African nations. What about the Asian Cup? You know, all these things. And to add to that, then we've got the World Club Championships. There's so many tournaments. What we would like to see as a team is like a world competition where we get the best club sides coming together and being able to play each other somehow. That's way off, you know, because we're talking about the European Super League. And that's isolating all the big South. You do fantastic shows on South American football, bruv, Matt, but that's isolates all these big South American nations, clubs, for example, who could be massive on if they could compete regularly and get that TV money, play in European side. Santos used to have gone on tour, didn't they, with Pele and all them boys. Yeah. Playing against Benfica and Real Madrid and that kind of thing. But they're being like rinsed of all their best players before they're even 20, 21 years old. And they never get a chance to build or have the finances there. So that talent pool's dead because they're not going to get a piece of the pie. It's getting worse. I want to see, so if West London, for example, produces great players, as we know, Mr. B, if we had a West London club, QPR, for example, if all the best players came through QPR, if girls, QPR would be a top side, Brentford would be a top side. I would rather see regional clubs produce their best players and do it like that, because take the money out of football and people will enjoy it a lot more. Go back to the 50s and 60s, the 30s. People had more passion, more identity to their club, all that kind of thing. And you say, that's my boy. I grew up with him. He's playing for this club now, that kind of thing. It's really important. That's where people lose touch. And that's why I say I'm not tribal as a football fan. I appreciate the game. I love the game. I watch it. But this is where you lose interest. And this is where people loses its value. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when people are playing, like if you look at the wages people are on, even like in the 70s or the 60s, they weren't on a big money, but they had a lot more pride, a lot more desire and everything else. Some of these players were broke. They run a pub once they retire or something, just about, but they weren't getting the sort of disproportionate amount of money they receive these days. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it's going to continue like that. I heard Wickham were beating Man City, and I heard who's the big, strong Nigerian guy who plays?
Akin Fenwa.
Yeah, so he was on TalkSport today, and he was saying, "Well, I didn't want this draw because we're not going to be able to. We're not going to see the ball." But they were winning 1-0, and I think, well, fair play, go get them guys, you know, because we're missing that. What about the FA Cup 4th round every January, where we get a big upset? It doesn't happen. It's slowly. What about we had a show earlier on the Man United Agenda talking about the League Cup, and they were discussing that as well. Is it really that important? Yes, it should be important. You know, so everything's losing its value, it's depreciating for the fans, everything else. But we do have a say, we do have a thing. Switch off your TV, go and watch like Matt, go and watch your local club, or like Mr. B or whatever. Go and watch your local club and support it that way. And just stop. Maybe we should stop supporting all these big clubs because they are corporations. Maybe. I'm not saying if it gets to that stage where, but look at it, you say no, but the fans were debating, the fans were rioting recently. When they were talking about Super League and Manchester United, there was a question mark about it. So who knows how it's going to turn out?
We're gonna have to end up off there now, guys, because.
Can I just say one fast thing, Matt? Have you
One fast thing, please talk.
Have you heard the news that Phil Jones is going to be in the team for the Caribou Cup tomorrow?
Good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck to him. I don't hate him. It's just that I just don't see a future for him. I just wish. He's not going to beat Varane and Maguire, is he? Now, like he's not even going to beat.
I thought he was meditating, Mr. B. Then.
Guys, we're going to finish off now. We will be back next week talking about the Olympics and whether it should be every single year. But I'm joking. We're not.
Yeah, I was saying that.
I was about to buy it.
Nah, that's not my bag, mate. At the Olympics, I don't know about running and throwing things and that, mate. No, I don't know about that shit. I know about kicking things with my foot.
Well, let's shout out your social medias. Amondi, let's start with you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Thanks, Matt. As I always say, Matt, love you, respect you. You're one of the top guys on this platform. Love your show, Football United TV, top show. You always what I love what you do. You take it to places that no one's like Star Trek. You take it to the final frontier where no one's gone before. You know, you are the captain of the ship. So engage and keep doing what you're doing. As you see, Matt's out in Spain right now. That's how deep he goes with it. Learning about Spanish League. He knows everything about. He gets networks with so many different good people around the globe and learns about all different kinds of leagues and everything else. That's fantastic. So keep doing what you're doing. You're unique, and I've learned so much from just coming to the show. And by the way, I'm from the Man United Agenda. And if you don't know, you better recognise because we're learning, we're growing, we're just doing our thing. So if you like Manchester United or you like football in general, come and join all of us who are always on that channel at the Man United Agenda. Thank you so much, Matt.
Cheers, Amondi. Thank you so much for coming on as well, mate. It's such a pleasure to have you on, bro. Solo. You're on Solo. You're on Solo. Yeah, I'm reading wrong. I need a surveyor. Really.
You need to let your heads come back down, mate. That's swelled up.
More sangria for table 2.
Yes, brother. Right. Okay. Yes. So, you'll find me on Twitter at iTalkMU. I agree with everything on Monday just said, 100%. You'll find me on this channel, Football United TV. You'll find me on Man United Agenda. You'll find me on Rich Sports. Find me on Devils United, S-Weekly TV. Anywhere where there's food, it'll be warm. Yeah, that's it. Well, thanks for having me, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for coming on, mate, as well. I'm glad we got that chat done. It was Mr. B.
Listen, I ain't in as much places as talk. I tell you, I tell you that straight. Man United Agenda. You can find me on YouTube channel, Twitter, Mr. B Online. We can have a conversation. I'm here every Monday. I tell you, it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. I'm normally here every Monday, 7 o'clock, talking to Matt as well about each and everything.
Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. And thank you so much for coming on again, Mr. B.
No problem, man.
I'll see you next week.
Also, Matt, I don't think this is going to be the end of the conversation around the E.S.L. and the World Cup thing.
We'll be bringing it up again. We'll see how it develops and what happens, and when we can change the topic on it, and we find out a bit more if it's progressing or not. We'll get into it. Everybody, thank you for tuning in today. Smash the subscribe. Go check out the Man United Agenda, and have a good rest of your evening. Bye bye.
Ciao.